In this video, I will be explaining the basic intuition behind a confidence interval. None of the statistical details. The goal is just to get the basic idea down. So let's start with a question. How old is this person? 30 years old? 35 years old? 40 years old? 32 years, 6 months, 5 days, and 32 minutes old? Come up with an answer. It doesn't much matter what it is to get the point. I'll use 35 years old for our example. Now, how sure are you about that answer? Are you 50% sure that you're right? 20%? Well, we all should have the same number in mind, 0. The odds are that even if we have the number of years right, we don't have the number of months, days, and milliseconds right. That first guess, 35 years in our example, is what we call a point estimate. That is, it is extremely precise, a single point, and the best guess we could make based on the limited data we have. However, odds are basically 0% that we got it exactly right. To have any certainty at all, we should add a margin of error. The basic idea of a margin of error is that we're establishing a range around our point estimate by adding and subtracting a number we call the margin of error, let's say 1 year. So take our point estimate of 35 and add and subtract 1 year to get a range. So we're guessing this person is between 34 and 36 years old. How confident are we now? Put another way, what are the odds that you're correct? We should be more than 0% confident. After all, now we've made it so that tiny deviations, seconds, minutes, don't make us wrong, most likely. In statistics, the confidence level is just capturing the odds that the true value is in the range you've specified. So if we're 50% sure that this person was 34 to 36 years old, we'd say that range has a confidence level of 50%. What can we do if we want to be more sure? Well, we have two options. One is to gather more information about this person. What do their hands look like? Do they have a significant other? Do they own a home? Do they have kids? How many? Additional data might change our point estimate, but it also allows us to be more sure of a narrow range, except in those cases where the new data is wildly inconsistent with the data we have. A second option is to just use a larger margin of error. Sensibly, if I'm 50% sure that this person is between 34 and 36 years old, I'm more than 50% sure that they're between 33 and 37, and even more sure that they're between 30 and 40, and pretty much absolutely positive that they're between 10 and 60. This leads us to a trade-off. We get to choose our confidence level, but we have to adjust the margin of error accordingly. If we really want to be sure that we've captured this person's true age, we need a large margin of error, leading to a wide confidence interval. Or we can use a small margin of error, but have to accept a lower confidence level to do that. And that's our trade-off. Would we rather be more precise, that is, have a narrow confidence interval that is more likely to miss the true value, or would we rather be more accurate? There is no obvious answer to these questions. They depend on the application. There are some applications where a 50% confidence interval might be fine. That is, it's okay if we're as likely to be wrong as right. In others, errors can be a serious problem. Most often, confidence levels of 80% or higher are typical, with 95% being quite common. But in some applications, for example, those where you have very little data, a 95% confidence interval is uselessly wide. Computers may be able to calculate the interval for you, but they can't yet make the judgment what level of confidence is appropriate. So, without going into any of the mathematical details, here's the general procedure. First, calculate your point estimate. In our example, 35 years old. Second, choose your confidence level. In our example, we'll use 95%, but you get to choose this as the researcher. Third, calculate your margin of error based on that confidence level. In our example, let's say 5 years is the margin of error that would make us 95% sure. When you calculate confidence intervals, there are statistical methods to find this precisely. Finally, calculate your confidence interval. That is, add and subtract the margin of error around your point estimate. So here, it's 30 to 40 years old. What does this 30 to 40 mean? It means we're 95% confident that this person is between 30 and 40 years old. Naturally, there are more details to this, but I hope that this video makes the basic idea of confidence intervals a bit more clear.